All right, everybody, we are back. It is Peloton People, Season 4, Episode 5, and today I am joined by leaderboard legend Daniel DePippa. Daniel's,
Harley.
Daniel's one of my favorites because he knows a lot. He always teaches me a lot about everything Peloton, and particularly strength. This guy really studies and knows strength stuff. So, Daniel, thanks for being a co-host today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, William. Thanks for having me back. It's been a couple of weeks. I do appreciate coming on. It's a lot of fun talking to you, and I think you kind of oversold me here, so I'm going to be a little nervous today.
What's your leaderboard name, Daniel?
My leaderboard name is Accidental PR.
Yeah, that's one of the best ones ever. I love that.
And I was actually looking at it going, it's maybe time to go because I think my PR days are behind me. But
I reset mine every year, Daniel.
Yeah, it was based on just taking Kendall's Metallica ride and looking down at just being into the music, and then like 3/4 of the ride I looked down just to see where I was, and I was like almost past my PR at the 3/4 point of the class, and I'm like, oh, and it just felt like an accidental PR. So that's how I
love that name. You can reset your PRs, and so every year I do that.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
at the start of the year, I don't know. I don't really have any. I don't know. I don't have any really fondness for any of my Peloton PRs, but it's kind of neat. It's kind of neat to do a refresh. So somebody told me that, and I tried it, and I kind of liked it. So I think I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah, I was thinking. I had thought about that a couple of times. I have too much of an ego. I got to get past that. That's the one thing that I'm not able to get past. It's like, okay, I did this once. I can do it again, but you're not getting any younger. So.
I don't have that problem, because I guess I look back at my running times when I was a good runner, and even if I became a good runner again, there's no way I'm going to touch those times. So I think I've kind of come to grips with it. So it doesn't really mean as much to me. So last week, Anderson and I were talking about all the new stuff that Peloton was doing, and we weren't too excited about it. I kind of felt bad because it was sort of a negative show. And then, of course, Anderson is dealing with customer service issues, which with Peloton, they can be the absolute worst. But one thing I would say or suggest, when you call Peloton and you get somebody that doesn't help you out, just call again. Keep calling. That's one trick I've done in the past, and that can really help because they all have a little bit. You would think it would all be the same, but it's not. It's not really. So sometimes when somebody won't help you, somebody else will. So that's a little thing.
So working in technology, I know a little bit about this, right? So probably they outsource their call center. Right?
I think they do now.
And train people to do that. But in those outsourced call centers, sometimes you see a lot of turnover. So somebody will get a better job and leave, and then they'll just bring in a new person. And they'll have somebody on the phone training with them and everything, but you still probably are going to get somebody you may get somebody who's really green, which is why you recommending people call back is probably a really good idea, because people will see, you'll get that other person who's been around a while and can actually get a little bit more help.
Yeah.
Anderson said he just didn't have people who could come out to fix his bike, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah. They've already sent him the part.
Yeah, the bottom bracket, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's
because he said it was loud, and it was, he can still do the classes, but it's loud, and that sounds like it's a bottom bracket.
Yeah,
I've seen tutorials on YouTube. I know he wants to do it because I think the bike is still under warranty, but I've seen tutorials on the YouTube, and it's not a terrible job to do.
Yeah, I had it done to my bike once, and it didn't look difficult.
Yeah, you need a special wrench to get something the crankshaft off, because those things are a bitch, and they're also one side's reverse threaded, which nobody knows. So you're tightening it when you think you're loosening it. So, but
you see a lot of that reverse treading on a bicycle, actually.
Yeah. So that's because I guess the spinning of the pedals and everything. So looking at, I'm sorry, I keep looking over at my bike. So looking at my bike, it's probably not the hardest thing to do. It's probably a pain, but if he's still under warranty, definitely get the warranty. Get the warranty.
Yeah, he's still under warranty. So.
Did he call back?
I don't know if he's called back or not. He might come on the show today. We'll see if he shows up. So Peloton Intelligence, you were talking about this in an email a little bit. See, I haven't had any experience with Peloton Intelligence. I've seen like when you when you click on a class, when you're on the bike or the tread or something, it'll tell you how they think you'll do in the class, or if the class is harder or easier. But I do a lot of classes from stacks.
Right.
And when you click on from a stack, you don't get any of that info before you go into the class, or at least I don't. So
Right.
I really hadn't found it that useful. Have you found it useful? Have you been using it in any way?
Yeah. So it's been helping me with, so my bike output hasn't been, where I want it to be. And I've known that for a while. I know it's partially because I'm working my legs so hard. I'm working them like 2 days a week in heavy weights. So I know that's part of why. And I know, like Adrian has said, I think in a split, he's like, you don't have to be great at every discipline. Pick a discipline, make that your focus, and everything else, take what you get out of it, right? So I can live with that, but I want to see it at least progress up over time. So it's the one thing I saw, like, and I'm looking for it right now on my app. Hold on. Oh yeah, so it came as part of the recommendations. One of them said swap a ride for a specific type of class, like a 45-minute progressive cycling, progression, which is like one of those rolling hills classes, or like a sweat steady, like just as sweat studies. But take one of those classes instead of taking, like, I'm usually I pick a music class because I like the genre, right, and I'm on my way, right? Or I'll do a climb. I do a lot of climbs, which is not helping my endurance, right? It's helping my, it's helped strength, but it doesn't really help endurance. So, it's making suggestions around how to, I guess boost or, enhance the, in ways I wouldn't have thought about. I wouldn't have thought about a sweat steady ride would be a good way to enhance my endurance. But, thinking after I looked at the class, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, because it's mostly an endurance-based class. It's long intervals of a certain effort, right? It's not like you're going in and you're doing a quick spin up to 120, for 30 seconds and coming back down. You might be in a specific effort for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So, and then the other thing, I did take my FTP test.
All right.
Abysmal.
That's okay. That's okay, Daniel. I mean, you got to start somewhere.
I know. So
have you done any Power Zone rides yet?
Yeah, I did 1 or 2 endurance rides because that's what I want to work on. So I'm trying those. I did find it weird.
It's easier, right? I mean,
yes.
It's like way easier, but then at the end you feel like you got a really good workout in. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, I don't know how. I know it's all scientifically backed. I haven't looked into it or anything, but I do know that I do see what they're doing a little bit, because you start in zone 1, zone 2, and you're in zone 1, 2 for a while. I'm like, what's this? But once you're in that zone 3, zone 4 for the longer efforts, then I was starting to understand what's going on. And like I said, these are endurance classes, so it's a lot of endurance for longer intervals, which is how you build endurance. So
that will make you a better biker. You look across Peloton, all the really good bikers that do it, they're all Power Zoners, and hardcore ones. Like do the beginner Power Zone program. You would really like that. I took a Power Zone the other day with Matt Wilpers, and it was a 45-minute class, and it was one of the toughest ones I've taken. Was
it a max?
It wasn't a max, but it went back and forth from zone 1 to zone 5. So it was like 2 minutes in zone 5, and then a lot longer in zone 1. But it went back and forth. It was one of the toughest ones that I've done.
Yeah, I think of zone 5, and I'm like, wow, that's a long interval.
It's 2 minutes, but that's the thing about Power Zone, because it's so dialed into your capability at the time that you can do anything on it. Like pace targets for running are kind of similar, but they're not really. I mean, they're not as tuned in as the Power Zone on the bike is, the FTP test. You just have like a level that you kind of go in with the runs, which really helps, but there's just nothing like that Power Zone on the bike. I'll almost always take a Power Zone ride yet. Now,
one time, Dennis does a lot of power zones. And I remember before one class, he's like, it's not a matter of if you're a power zoner or not. It's like, when will you be a power zoner? Like his theory is like everybody eventually becomes a power zoner. And I kind of think that's true. And you can do a lot of fun. Now, do you have the Bike Plus or the regular?
No. Unfortunately, I have the OG bike. So
see, now when you get a Bike Plus, then that will make all the difference in the world. So here's one thing. We've been talking about the new equipment and stuff, and we got to get somebody on that actually has the new bike or tread or rower. So I'm gonna try to look for somebody like that here pretty soon. But they on Pillow Buddy this week they had a article about we don't have plans for an upgrade kit, and then they made the big emphasis on the yet. So it's see, here's my point. It's got to be possible because so many of these people
the big thing about the new bikes is the new monitor. The new monitor, which people aren't paying attention to, has a new chip in it called a neural chip, which is supposed to boost the AI, right? Mm-hmm. That draws a lot of power. So the thing I was trying to figure out, and I was talking to somebody on one of the Peloton boards, the other Peloton boards, who was looking at it. The power draw on the new monitor versus the power draw on the old monitor, because your bike supports a certain amount of power going into that monitor, right? So if it's not delivering enough power to power the monitor, it's not going to work, right?
I see.
So that would require you to change all of the power driving stuff inside the bike if it didn't drive enough power. But somebody was looking at it and they saw the power draws were kind of close. Mm-hmm. So it is possible for them to do that. The OG bike is going to be a harder swap because obviously it's not built, although I bought the aftermarket, it's not built to swivel. So they're going to have to, and the handlebars are not designed to have a swivel mount on them. I'm looking at my bike right now. So you would have to, they would have to have a different adapter for that. And then they would have to take, the OG bike has a cord that has two different plugs, one delivering, I think, power internet, and one I think delivering the sound. I'm not sure, but it's like two different plugs going in. Where the Bike Plus just has the USB-C cable going into the back.
Gotcha.
So they would have to put an adapter for the power going into the monitor, like those two into a USB-C kind of thing, and then they would have to do something so that you could put a swivel mount on the OG bike.
But it sounds like it'd be a lot easier on the Bike Plus.
Bike Plus might be a simple swap out, because I was looking at the power is almost exactly the same, I think, on the Bike Plus.
Okay.
That
makes sense. So I think something like that'll happen. And here's the thing that I've noticed around here. But if you're wanting to get into Peloton, I don't know if new people ever really come in that often, but there is no better time to get into Peloton than right now, particularly if you don't have any money, because I am seeing bikes so cheap right now.
Yeah.
I mean, on Facebook Marketplace, I looked this morning, and this is in the Nashville, Tennessee area, but I mean, several $500 and below. And even like Bike Pluses, I saw a Bike Plus for $600. So I mean, even Bike Pluses weren't that much more than that. I mean, it's a great time to get in.
And also, Peloton has that reselling.
Yeah, they have the reselling site too, which is good. Have you checked it out?
Yes, I did. So here's the deal, right? So leading into this point, I was looking at the new Bike Plus this week.
The new one. Okay.
So because we're getting $700 off now if we buy it, right? And I was thinking, okay, so then what if I sold my old bike and just took the plunge and figured that out? And then I looked at it, and I probably might get $300 to $400 here, based on Facebook Marketplace. Looking at the repowered site, I might get a little bit more, but obviously it's based on what people want to pay versus what.
Right.
But
I love that repowered. I love that repowered site though, because one thing it tells you is how many rides it's had, and how
many times it's been serviced by them.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
I think it's a really neat kind of thing to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you could get $1,000 toward the new one, I mean, it's still expensive, but like for you, Daniel, like I think you would use it a lot more than say I would, just the way you use strength classes and stuff. Now, one thing that I really loved about it in the description that, you know, it said you could take a lot of these strength classes at your own pace, you know, and I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know how that really works in practice.
That's how they changed the programs. So now the programs have changed so that you can take them if you, instead of within a week, if you want to take it over 2 weeks or something, you can do that. So that's that a lot of people were asking for that. So it's good that they have, right? I try, when I do my programs, I try to do it the way the instructor intended, try to keep it within that week, unless I hurt myself or something, which I did this week. I'll talk about that later. But I don't know if you can see behind me. You see the dumbbells right there?
Yeah.
Okay. Above that, that's the television I use, and the guide is right there too.
I see it.
You might be able to see the guide. So that's where you know, I'm looking at with my strength training. The bike is on the opposite wall. So if I did get the bike with the new monitor, with the new guide functionality, which I would use, because I think the guide functionality is improved over the new stuff versus the old G guide. I would be looking at this bike to do the strength, but the television's behind me, so I'd have to reconfigure the entire. That was the other consideration. I'd have to reconfigure the entire room. So in this corner, I don't know if you can see. So my heavy weights are here, my other weights are here, and then the monitor, you know, the television's here, and then the guide, and so I would have to take all of that out of that corner.
Okay.
Move it to the opposite side of the room, and then put the bike right near the television, so I could use the television, you know, the new bike monitor camera, and I would stream to the television, because I'm not going to look at the bike monitor to do strength. I'd rather use the television.
Now, is the new bike weightlifting a little bit, or the new cross training weightlifting different than the guide? I mean, does it tell you the actual weights to use? And
yeah, so it's supposed to. That's part of the intelligence. It's supposed to, like, after you go through a couple of sessions. It's supposed to say start inching you up on your weights and stuff like that. It'll recommend, you know, try, you know, if you got individual, like 1 pound weights, try individual, you know, moving it up individually. Or if you go up by 5, then it'll tell you do a couple extra reps this week, and then next week drop down again and go 5 pounds heavier or something.
See, that's pretty cool. Now the guide wouldn't do that specifically.
The guide doesn't do that. No.
Okay.
No. So that's part of the AI stuff in there. The guide, obviously, I think doesn't have the neural chip, so it's probably doesn't have that kind of processing horsepower in it. And the camera, I think, is not as good as might not be as good as the new camera in the new machines.
I think it sounds pretty neat. I mean,
yeah.
I think you would use it way more than me, just because, you know, I like bench pressing. I like, you know, all that kind of weightlifting stuff. And I just hadn't embraced the Peloton weightlifting yet, except when I do like a boot camp class. I love doing boot camp classes. So
Katie's boot camps are so much fun. And Adrian brought the Dunder 45 to the row. Yeah. Did you try one of those?
No, I have not tried an Adrian 45 Dunder, but I know the brutal's the word that's kept me out. Oh, speaking of brutal, Daniel, this morning when I woke up, I did a hiking class, and
who's the instructor?
Kirsten, I believe.
Okay, yeah, she's good.
Yeah, and it was no joke. I mean, we were walking. You know, I was only doing they have pace targets now on the walking as well, and I was just at a level 3, and it was 10 minutes. The class was 30 minutes, but there was 10 minutes on a 12 incline.
Right.
And I couldn't keep up. I had to drop back. It was pretty embarrassing, but very, very good.
The whole science behind that is the longer you're in the effort, I don't want to make this sound scary, but the longer you're in the effort, the more oxygen you're using, the more you're not depleting it. You shouldn't pass out, but you're depleting the oxygen reserve in your body and stuff like that. So that's why it progressively gets harder, because you got to draw in more to fuel everything. So those longer, like I was saying about the bike, is the longer intervals are great for endurance and stuff like that. And they feel so hard. I mean, those sweat steady rides, just crushes me on this.
Yeah. You've talked about that before, but the class was fun. I mean, it was hard. I was embarrassed that I could not keep up. I had to lower my incline a little bit, but
I don't think you should feel embarrassed about it.
It was hard. I mean, the whole class was at least 6 or above for the whole 30 minutes. You know, I mean, it was hard.
Yeah.
All right. So next, Daniel, the official Peloton teams. You know, I know you play around with the Peloton teams a lot, and I've kind of gotten into it more and more. I think they've done some really good stuff with it. But have you joined any of the official teams of the other instructors and stuff yet?
The only one I'm only part of Peloton People, but the only other one I'm part of is the official Spearheads group, because I'm a big Andy guy.
Yeah, Andy's awesome.
And I like to go through that. The biggest thing I'd like to see come out of the teams is the class selection, class recommendation thing, where you go in, you're like, hey, I took this is great, go try it. And if people just start dumping classes they really like into there, so it becomes like, I don't know how far the history is going to go back, but people could actually go back and say, oh, I want to do this, and they can go back and look at the classes that were taken.
That'd be a good idea.
To see how, to just go back and data mine a little bit if you want to pick a class that somebody recommends, So, and I'm looking at it right now on my thing. And I would love to see people do that, because then I would feel more comfortable with picking some classes. Because, sometimes you get in classes and you just like, not it for me today or whatever. But getting the recommendations where somebody says, okay, this was, I like this class because of this reason, or, this was the type of thing that they were focusing on, then I would feel better about picking a class randomly. Because I think I mentioned this once before. So from January to May, I took two strength classes. One was an Adrian class and one was an Andy class. One was upper body, one was lower body. And I just did those on repeat for like 5 months. Because I just liked the program. I didn't want to muck around with other classes to figure out, get used to different movement patterns or, whatever. So I just stuck with those. And so I'm not as experimental. Some people love just jumping in and doing new classes and stuff for the variety and stuff. I'm just not that guy. Yeah. So, having somebody recommend classes and, put a little like, this was great because he focused on this for a period. This was the main focus of the class. So I would know that's the class I want to take today, because that's what I'm looking for today.
Now, what else do you think they could do to teams to really improve it?
So, I mean, obviously you can post in there now, right?
Right.
Sort of like Facebook and everything. The problem is they've lost a lot of ground to Facebook.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really hard shift from people from Facebook into Peloton. But, if just organizing events might be a good thing. I mean, and it could be virtual events, like organizing rides, for a group of people would probably be easy on the teams, especially since you could post a class, you could stack right from there. There's some conveniences in that as well. So I think some of that social aspect they could really work on. I think if they try to kind of foster it a little bit more with dropping an instructor in a class, or doing something like that, would help the teams get a little bit more traction, I think, in that respect. Like have these prep runs for races and stuff that they do sometimes. If they could do that and organize it through the teams and get people to get into the class like that and experience the class together with the instructors doing these prep rides for races and everything, or even like the weekly. They used to do a weekly run in New York City.
Yeah.
A bunch of the instructors were doing together. Matt was running it, and a bunch of the instructors were going with them. And if they could organize something like that through the app, where they made it a live class or some kind of thing, and they did something like that, I think that would be good too.
Might be kind of neat too. I've always thought also, like, if somehow they could like have some sort of competition between teams. I mean, it might be fun to challenge the clip out to something, or something like that. I know you got like different members and numbers and all that, but it could be something like based on percentages or something.
That would be a great thing for when they do these power zone challenges.
Yeah, like that could be kind of
would be a perfect a perfect example for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking about it a little bit because they really have made it better, and they've made an effort to make it better. But you're right, Facebook has such a lead on them, and you can do so much there that I don't go to the team pages every day, and I haven't joined any of the new teams at all.
Yeah.
But I might just to see what's going on there.
I think because they've been talking about wanting to do more like in-person stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that's the perfect place to kind of launch that whole thing, is put it in Teams, have the class, have a class bookmark there, or make it a live class, and people can, post the schedule link for the class so people could join and stuff like that. That would kind of blend it all together and make it much more of kind of a cooperative kind of effort.
Yep. Oh, this is probably a great time to say, come to our Facebook group, Peloton People Facebook group. Come on over. We have 3 or 4 new people every week, so I don't know if they hear about it through the show or they just stumble upon it. I'm not really sure. I know sometimes I'll do a survey over at Peloton People, and it's amazing how many people don't even know we do a podcast. So that sort of always cracks me up. But
yeah.
But anyway, so now my next topic, Daniel, this is kind of a controversial one. I mean, not really controversial, but I feel weird wading into this a little bit. But I think it's an important topic also. I want to talk about GLP-1s a little bit. Okay. I came clean a couple of weeks ago or last week because of my hospital story, because I really thought it was messing me up. So it turns out that it had nothing to do with my problem. It was just the biggest coincidence you've ever seen. But I started on the tirzepatide.
Okay.
And
you're doing you're not doing Mounjaro, right? You're doing
I'm just doing the generic, like
you're doing the generic one. Okay.
I guess, I mean, it almost feels black market in a way. You know what I mean? It's like
the compound one, right?
Yeah, the compound one. Okay. Yeah. So I have a real doctor and everything, but it's still, I don't know. It still feels a little bit weird. But the pricing on this stuff is just so expensive, unless you got like a good angle or good deal. Your doctor well. I mean, it's just it's kind of weird how all that plays out. But now you I mean, it helped you, right?
I've been on one for about 3 years now, 3.5 years now.
Now,
so
which one are you on?
2020.
I mean, you might not want to share, but
no, it's okay. I'm on a tirzepatide. I'm on not Mounjaro. I'm on the brand. Luckily, thankfully, I have good insurance, so I'm on the brand name, and I can't. It's escaping me right now. I'll look it up while we're talking. But basically, I've been on for 3 years. I started on Wegovy, which is so let's slow down. So first off, is not medical advice. I just want everybody to understand.
Right. No medical advice.
Number one is not medical advice. You should be going to your doctor. You should talk to your doctor. These are not light medications to take. You have to do it with a good doctor who understands how these medications work and knows that it's the right thing for you. So before anybody just, because a lot of people are abusing these, unfortunately. Sorry, my dog's in the background.
That's okay. Mine will probably start barking too.
Please go to your doctor and have a good conversation with them. They will tell you whether they recommend them or not. And I'll explain why my doctor recommended mine.
Gotcha.
So, I'm sorry, I'm just looking up the what it's named on the one that I'm taking. I can't remember. It went right out of my brain. Oh, Zepbound it's called.
Oh yeah, Zepbound.
So I'm taking Zepbound right now. But basically, so the way these medicines work is they replace or supplement certain hormones in your body that control your appetite, right? The way they work is the normal hormones that your body produces, the GLP-1 and the GIP, these 2 different types of hormones. The GLP-1 is the one everybody hears about because that started with Ozempic, right? Ozempic is only a GLP-1, and what your body does is it produces it and it gets rid of it within 7 to 8 minutes. It's out of your system. So it releases the hormone, it does its job to regulate your appetite, and then gets out of your system in 7 to 8 minutes. What they did with this medicine is they created the GLP-1 that lasts for a much longer period of time, like a week or 2. So it's in your system all the time. And it does two things. It does a bunch of things. One of the things, though, it does is it slows down your digestion. So when you eat something, it sits in your stomach longer, so you feel full longer. So that's how you slow down eating. And the other thing is it works on the brain center of appetite to kind of calm that down too. So that's, you mentioned last week something about food noise.
Yeah. It's
and that's how it cuts your food noise down. Yeah. So it kind of works on that. Now, obviously, with it staying in your system so long, you can be subject to side effects because of that. Because you could feel you can have a lot of gas because of it, or you could have it can make it harder to go to the bathroom. You might have to take a little extra fiber and stuff like that to counter that. Obviously, talk to your doctor, but that's how that kind of all works. The newer meds, so Ozempic. Originally, there was Saxenda, which is the original one, and you had to take a shot of that every day. I started that like 8 years ago. I was on it for like a week. I felt sick, and I'll explain why. And then I went off. And then my current endocrinologist 3 years ago was like, you either have to do bariatric surgery or try this medicine, because you got to do something, because you're really going in the wrong direction. Your bloods are going in the wrong direction.
Right.
So the doctor put me on the medicine, and I got really sick for the first couple of weeks. I couldn't eat a dime, obviously, and that was great because you're losing weight and everything. It hit me hard. And he said the reason it hit me hard is because my body probably doesn't produce a lot of the GLP-1 GIP hormone in the first place. So this is really supplementing it. My body's just not used to having it in its in the system running around. So it worked really well for me. I started losing weight immediately. Some people don't immediately. They have to wait till they go up a couple of doses, dose sizes, before they start getting the effect. But for me, it hit right away. I was losing weight immediately. And that's because he thinks I didn't have a lot of that in my system in the first place, that basic hormone.
Interesting.
So that's why that kind of worked. But you're supposed to take your time. So you're still on your first spot.
I'm just 3 weeks, thing, right? And I'm on the lowest dose.
My doctor left me on the lowest dose for like 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
Like normally they want you to move up every month, but he was like, nope, take your time. And that's what I did. And I was having success and everything was great. And he was happy. So he left me on doses for a while, and then he moved me up slowly. I would recommend anybody who does that, talk to your doctor about moving up slower. Everybody wants to get the big benefit immediately and jump the doses as soon as possible. And that's how you end up in the hospital.
Right.
Because people have ended up in the hospital because they jumped too fast. 2 years ago, there wasn't enough of this medicine to go around. So what people were doing was everybody wanted to get in on it. So they weren't able to produce the lower doses. So people were jumping in at the higher doses, and they were ending up in the hospital because they couldn't get the lower doses. So, got to be really careful about this medicine, because they're serious meds, and they can really, they can mess you up. So did you have a gallbladder stone, or did you have a kidney stone?
Kidney stone.
Yeah.
And it was, like I said, it was totally unrelated.
Yeah.
And, but here, it's such a controversial thing, like if I hadn't told my hospital story, I might not even said I was on it, I gotta tell you, it's ridiculous. It's a lot of the social media negativity about these medicines is because you've got these trainers. This is what I believe personally. This is a personal belief. You have these trainers who are out there saying you should just be able to eat less and exercise and you'll be fine. Which, yes, kind of, but not really, because it's not that simple. But everybody's bodies are different and they react differently. But these medicines are affecting their livelihood, right? Yeah.
Because people are taking the shortcut, right? Nobody should be taking these medicines and not working out or not doing any kind of training. You need to do strength training on these medicines, because you will lose weight so fast, you will eat your muscle away quickly, right? Yep. When they say, you eat your muscle away, it's the amount of muscle you lose on these meds. If you lost the same amount of weight off these meds in the same manner, you would lose the same amount of muscle. It's not accelerating muscle loss. All it's doing is the muscle loss is happening because you're losing weight because you're on the meds. But as long as you strength train, you're going to counter that. As long, strength train, protein, eat the right amount of, eat a good balanced diet, you'll be okay. But, people want to go the short, easy route. They don't eat as much. They don't eat enough protein. They don't strength train. So what ends up happening is they lose a lot of muscle mass.
But now Daniel, is there something more there? Because I know, like for me, like, the food noise really is a real thing. And like I am on the smaller dose, and I notice, like, I take mine on Saturday. So I noticed, when Friday rolls around, I am hungrier than I was when I first took.
That's why I started mine on Thursdays.
But here's the thing, like, I've been really, before I even went on this stuff, I'd really gotten on a water kick. So, I pretty much just drink water now. That was always my toughest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I've been watching my calories. I've been counting calories, but it's to me, it's kind of weird in the fact that I can eat the same amount of calories with this stuff or without this stuff. And at the same amount of calories, I'm losing weight.
Yeah.
It's just easier for me to stay on the calorie, because you're not having that extra noise come in that's saying, you need to eat something else. You know what I mean? But if I notice, like, if it's like 1,800 calories a day or on it and off it, I'm losing weight with the drug.
I'll explain why.
Yeah, explain that one to me.
Okay, so the food noise is a big thing, right? Obviously, because the food noise is like, food noise for people who don't really understand what this means is you're kind of sitting there all day long and your body's going, where's my next food?
You're thinking about your next meal.
When you take these medicines, that goes away. It's like gone, unless you start getting hungry, right?
Right. And you still do get hungry, by the way.
You do get hungry, but you basically lose that in between. Oh my God, I need a snack all day long. So the reason they give these medicines, they started this started. Let me try and figure out how to say this right. They started this with type 2 diabetics, right? And they started because they found that the pancreas produced a little bit more insulin. It's for type 2 diabetics, you don't produce enough insulin, right? You do produce insulin, but not enough. This isn't a type 1 who's completely insulin dependent like my wife. This is talking about type 2 diabetics who don't produce enough insulin and they have trouble controlling the sugar. This medicine helps your pancreas produce more insulin. That's why you're having a little bit more success on what you're eating, because you're producing a little bit more insulin than you did before. It's burning the food a little bit more efficiently than your body did before. Mm-hmm. Not to say you're it's not to say you were even pre-diabetic or a type 2 diabetic before you started the medicine, but you will produce a little bit more insulin and you will burn a little bit more efficiently. And if your pancreas is healthy, it'll keep you from going low.
Makes sense.
Sugar low, but it's not that much insulin that you're going to go into like a hypoglycemic situation like type 1 diabetics.
Now, are you still trying to lose more weight, Daniel?
Yeah, well, why not, right? But so here's the thing, right? Over the last year or so, I gained a little bit of weight, and that's probably because my body has gotten completely adjusted to this dose I'm at.
Right.
And I'm supposed to go up to the next dose. I've been fighting the next dose, trying to deal with it through strength training and biking and exercise and eating and everything. Not having great success, so I'm thinking about the next dose. But I'm not at the max dose, so I would be stepping up to the max dose. I'm trying not to do that. I'm going to give it until after the holidays and see how I do through the holidays.
That's a good idea.
And just try and regulate a little bit more. Just do.
You look great. How much have you lost in all?
So originally I had lost about 145. So right now I'm down about 135 pounds.
That's amazing, man. So, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, Peloton had a big part, big chunk of that, right? Because when I started this and I started losing weight, I was just doing a little bit of walking, but I realized 2 months in that I was losing weight, and I'm like, this is probably the last opportunity I have to really make a big impact on my health, because I'm just getting older, right? Mm-hmm. And it's going to just get harder from here. right? So that's when, and my friend had a Peloton bike, so I went over and we talked about it. I tried it and everything, and he was like, no, I really like it. You really should try it. So that's why we went out and we bought the bike. We went to the local showroom, back when they had the showrooms, and talked to them. We made a decision and bought the bike because I had said because I used to play hockey years ago, and I know what it felt like to be done. When you work out and you're done, and you feel done. You feel like you had a really good workout and you've given it what you needed to. So I wanted to feel that way again, and I thought the bike was the easiest way to get there. So that's why we bought the bike, and then it just fell off like water once I got the bike.
You will when you upgrade to a Bike Plus one of these days, you're really gonna embrace Power Zone training.
Yeah,
and that's gonna be your next big jump. I think I really feel like that you're gonna go that direction. Now I have one other weight question that I'm kind of curious how you do, but and I kind of go back and forth about this. But when you're actively trying to lose weight, do you weigh daily or do you weigh weekly or do you not even weigh at all?
I don't weigh for weeks at a time.
Okay, so you're
weight.
Okay, that's kind of how my father is.
Yeah, I don't check my weight. I don't want the scale to have that much power over me. I'm a science guy.
Right.
Numbers are great, but they'll run my life.
Yeah.
I'll be thinking about every single thing I eat, and I guess you should on some level, but I don't think I should be that obsessive because I wasn't in a great mental spot when I was doing that. So I don't let the scale have that much power over me. It's how I feel. It's how my clothes feel. It's how I use that as my main driver, and then every once in a while I'll jump on just to take a pulse and everything.
That's brilliant. See, I've been weighing daily, and I'm over that. I think I'm going to go to weekly.
Yeah,
and I think I'm going to do it on the morning I take the shot. Just kind of to check in. I
think that's really smart for a lot of people. Some people need to check every day and everything. It's like tracking your food, right?
Yeah.
When you weigh everything and everything, after a while, you kind of get a feel for where you should be, and you should know, where
Well, all those programs now, they kind of do trends anyway. So it really doesn't matter if you're up and then down and then up and then down.
I don't go by that. You got to look at the longer
but I think I don't think I want to go your direction and not weigh for weeks at a time. Although you're more in tune with your body than I am right now. I think a week. I think I'm going to switch from
I wouldn't recommend. Yeah, I don't recommend.
I'm gonna try that,
but definitely try a week at a time. Even if you want to go like 3-4 days at a time and see how you feel about that. But just don't let the scale rule you.
I'm not.
Your mental outlook.
Yeah, I mean, I've lost a lot already, but I really only want to lose, 1 or 2 pounds a week. I really want to do this really slow.
Yeah, that's really.
And
important.
I want to stay on the lowest dose for as long as I can, also. So I'm kind of like you in that regard. So we'll just see where it takes me. But I had an expert in you on here, and I thought I would pick your brain on this. And plus, I think a lot of people are probably interested in stuff like this too. I've struggled with weight for my whole life. I mean, I've been up and down more than Oprah. I mean, it's just and I've been little, I've been skinny, I've been fat. I mean, I've been it all, and I really struggle with it. And I think, and I've always worked out too. Like it's not like I've ever totally quit working out. So, I mean, the struggle is real, and I will say I do like not thinking about food constantly. That's real.
A big benefit.
It's real freeing, and you still get hungry though, and food still tastes good. I mean, it's just like it's hard if you haven't tried it. It's hard to explain the lack of that noise. That's I guess some people develop.
And it's really important for people out there that are listening to realize not everybody experiences this the same way.
Right.
Some people have very minimal food noise and they're okay for hours at an end, and they're really in tune to everything and they're great. And that's and that's obviously the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
And that's the way everybody would prefer to be, but it doesn't work that way for everybody. And so, some of these medicines do help people who are struggling in that way, but the medicine never should be. All right. So exercise should always be about physical health, flushing the body out of all of that garbage and building strength and building and just building a healthier body, right? Losing weight should not be. Don't make exercise your main driver of weight loss, because it's never going to work that way.
Right.
You got to exercise because you want a stronger body. So when something comes along, you get sick with something, your body's stronger, can handle it, and can heal and get strong again.
That's a good point, Daniel.
Don't look at exercise as like, oh, I'm going to lose weight. Yes, it'll help, but look at exercise as building you for when you need that strength for whatever reason, whether it's you're doing some project or you get sick and you need the strength to help with the sickness, carry you through the sickness. That's why you do this. That's why you exercise.
Now, a lot of times, I mean, that's all awesome. I'm going to stick with it and just see what happens, and see how it goes.
Yeah. The other thing people need to realize is don't accept another person's viewpoint about a situation just because you've heard it your whole life. Meaning,
exactly,
the whole thing about it's just a cop out and blah 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 is not true, right?
Yeah.
There is a lot of science behind this medicine, and there's a lot of reason why these medicines work, and it has to do with that everybody's body is different, and it goes through different things, and they have different experiences, and you need to be more focused on what works. And obviously the minimal amount of medicines you use, the better, right? As long as you can do that, but don't accept somebody else's shame or what's the word I'm looking for? Trying to embarrass you because the way you function is not the way they function.
Well, the thing I run into most of all is like, you can just tell that people think that it's cheating, and
that's their problem.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what I've run into. Like,
not
that I put it out there. You can keep these pretty secret if you want to.
Absolutely, it's nobody's business.
Yeah, it's nobody's business at all. But since I had the hospital story didn't make much sense unless he put this in perspective. Because some people do get very upset stomachs on this
Absolutely.
medicine. And
that's why it's not a joke medicine. You shouldn't be jumping up high doses immediately.
Yeah,
you need your body to adjust to them, and you need to start slow.
So our next topic,
I have one more thing about these medicines before we change.
Yeah.
Like you said about losing 1 to 2 pounds a week is really important, guys, because I lost a lot of weight at the beginning very quickly. And because of that, I developed gallstones. And because of that, I had to get my gallbladder removed.
Yeah.
So it's not because the medicine did it. It's because I lost a lot of weight in a short period of time. And that's how I developed gallstones. And that's why I had to get my gallbladder removed. So you need to be careful about that's why stay on the lowest dose as long as you can. Lose the weight, a half a pound a week. You're doing amazing. If your trend line is going down, you're doing amazing.
Yeah.
And just use that as your marker, and don't try and force it, because you're going to have other health issues, like you're going to have gallbladder issues or kidney issues or something.
Yeah, that's good advice, Daniel. All right, guys, next topic. And I was thinking about this the other day, like how the Peloton community, shapes real friendships. I mean, we're all like spread out all over the place. And like a great real life example of this that just happened is I had on the show, a few weeks ago, Shelly Heath and Kathy Oakham, and they just met in real life. Like Shelly was over on the East Coast, and they got together for lunch or just to meet up or something. I just thought that was the coolest thing. Like,
that was amazing.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
To me, that's like what it's all about. Like when I see stories like that, I think like, sometimes I'm like, why do you do this like every week and stuff like that? Well, that's the reason, like right there. It's just,
I don't know. It just makes me feel good. And I love seeing these real friendships that blossom outside of, the podcast and just what the community in general. It's not just our group that does this. It's
right.
Every single group in Peloton has millions of stories like this. So
yeah, I would agree.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, my experience with that as well. I mean, I'm on one or two other groups as well besides Peloton people, and they have like a core group of people who seem like they're really friendly in the social media sense, and they may have met at the studio or stuff like that. So it's really cool to see, their experiences in that way as well. So
I know. I mean, that's what I found when we first started Peloton. It was like, we all come from different walks of life. We all have different experiences, but we can all talk about Peloton, and we'd love to talk about Peloton. And that's just the one thing. Here's a question for you, Daniel. How has Peloton changed your life outside of fitness? Can you think of anything there?
That's a really good question. So it's been more of, so when I started, I wasn't in best mental state because I had gotten so far away from fitness, and I was in technology, especially in my role, which is like a 24/7. I could get called at any time because of a problem at work to fix, because I'm the guy who fixes the problems. So it was really easy to like, oh, I worked a lot of hours, I'm just gonna blow everything off and just sit on the couch and eat cheese doodles. But the discipline, I hate to say the word discipline because it's not, everybody hates that word, but the building a rigid structure around myself, getting up really early in the morning and making sure I get my workouts in, making sure I fit those things in. It's really built. It's obviously helped me get myself together, but also it's helped strengthen. I don't want to say resolve, but just. And I hate flubbing around like this. It probably sounds silly.
I mean, that's a tough question. Like, I don't even know how I would answer it myself.
It's the mental strength that I built through the discipline of making sure I make the workouts and I complete the workouts. That's a big thing with me. Is if I start something, I want to complete, unless something really happens important. But if I segment the time I want to finish the workout I picked, just so that I know I finished that workout. That's part of the mental rigidity, but discipline and structure that I've built so that I know that I'm getting my goals done.
Yeah, see, I just see like a Peloton confidence in you that I'm sure is like spread out, all over the place. Like with me, it's kind of funny. Like I don't even advertise that we have Pelotons here at the Airbnb or really to outside of here. I really don't even talk about Peloton that much. Because I just don't want to be, like that Peloton guy, that's all he does is talk about Peloton. So I think I'm purposely, don't do that. But, when I dive in here, I'm all in. Mm-hmm. But it's just, I just think that's kind of the way that
I know how you feel. I know how you feel because I'm the same way. It's like, you get me going, I'm going to be here for an hour, so it's really hard to balance that out.
I know. I kind of struggle with that, but I love Peloton, and I'm not as good as you are, Daniel, in that, I really, a lot of what I do with Peloton, I just do it and I just have fun doing it. I love music. Right. I just, today, my system I keep coming back to is I'll just pick a random day, and I'll just go down and start doing classes from that day. Sure. I just always come back to that system. I guess because I just have a fear of missing out. But yet at the same time, it's impossible to do everything. One way I've adapted my system a little bit is like, let's say I get a 30-minute advanced yoga class. Well, I'm not going to do a 30-minute advanced yoga class. It's just not going to happen. Right. So what I'll do is I'll pick another 30-minute yoga class, maybe like a beginner class, or
Mhm.
or even I love restorative yoga. And I know it seems like you're doing absolutely nothing, but I absolutely love restorative
You
yoga.
need that. You need that.
Yeah,
Your body
I
needs
love
that.
it. I love the mental aspect of it. I still struggle with Peloton meditations. I have to admit, I get zero out of it. I still try them. I figure one day something will click, so I still try. But for me, that's just because I have all the equipment right now, and so that's just one way for me to get all the equipment in. But I am trying to do more strength training too, and I use a different app for that. And
Right. And you want to know something? A lot of people don't like the Peloton strength classes because they're, some people want to lift and take a break, a longer break, and not have to sit in the rigidity of the class. For me, I like the rigidity of the class, and I like the instructor. To me, the instructor thing, I don't know why, it just puts my brain in that mode of I'm following this along and I'm doing this.
Well, I tell you what, I kind of have more respect for the way you do it, because I just like traditional weightlifting. The more you rest between sets and stuff like. I just enjoy that. But when I do a Peloton class, especially so I'll sometimes do a boot camp.
Right.
And when I do them, I'm sore for days. I mean, it really works me way harder. And then of course, the body weight stuff is just awful. And that's
the
part
hardest stuff.
When you're a heavier guy, body weight's harder than when you're like a little person.
It is the hardest stuff. But
it's hard.
I'm not completely into the science of body weight and everything. I haven't looked into it enough, but it is brutal on the body. I mean, not brutal, but it's hard. It's not a joke.
And the heavier you are, the harder it is. It's kind of backwards from how you would think, because a lot of people when they're first starting out trying to get into shape and stuff, people will suggest body weight to them. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's one of the hardest things to do. A couple of years ago, I couldn't even do a squat, Daniel, and I'm talking a squat with no weight. I just couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. And I just practiced. But right now, what I struggle with is sit-ups. I am awful at sit-ups.
Oh, of course. Of course, my weak spot too.
Yeah, I've been working on it, and I can do a gazillion crunches, it seems like. But I'm trying to do other stuff too, because just like a full-fledged sit-up, I'm embarrassed to say I can't hardly even.
I do mostly, when I do core, I do the standing cores, because it takes some of the strain off your back.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
I have a little bit of spinal stenosis, which is where this kind of compress a little bit. Mm-hmm. So it becomes, so when you add so the room between the discs is a little smaller, so more chance you're pinching on those nerves. And so when you add strain on there, it pinches it down. So I get pain sometimes.
Yeah.
So the standing core eliminates that. So that's what I do that for. But in Andy's, I point to the TV because I just about a half hour ago I'm doing Andy's 5-day advanced split, and the first day has a lot of core in it, which wasn't today, but a couple of days ago, and then the last day's got a lot of core in it as well. So I think there's a little bit tomorrow. The next class that I take as well, there's a little bit more core in there, traditional core, and I struggle with traditional core because I was doing Olivia's classes for a little while. Mm-hmm. And I got a little bit better doing them because I was doing them a little bit more consistently, but I've kind of fallen off of doing my core consistently. I got to get back to it. Yeah, but right, the core is hard.
It's
Adrian hates it. He even admits it in his classes. He's like, I don't do core. This is my core. He goes.
That's funny. Okay. In other news, we'll go through a little bit of news now. Taylor Swift, the Life of a Showgirl classes are starting this week on October 15th. Dean Tommy will be really happy about that. Let's see. Matt Wilpers has a new podcast. Have you listened to it yet?
Not yet. I want to get in on it though. Yeah.
I really like him. I like his classes. I feel like I always learn something from him.
Right.
I just really, really like
like Matt. I'm still envious of the clip out that was their first guest ever was Matt Wilpers.
And you had the guy from the clip out on.
Yeah,
here.
I had Tom on. It was really neat to meet him.
That was a great episode.
Yeah, I really enjoyed talking to him. I mean, because I've been listening to. Now I don't listen all the time, and I probably hadn't listened to the clip out in a couple of months now.
Right.
But I do like popping in and listening to it and stuff like that. And I like Tom. I think he's really funny. I like Crystal too. I just like their show. If you've never listened to it, it's called The Clip Out, and it's a really solid podcast. It's very well produced. He used to be a radio guy.
Oh, really?
You can tell it.
Yeah, he's very polished.
He's in so. But yeah, he was great. And he does another podcast too. I mean, they're probably, I would say they're the most successful Peloton podcast out there.
Definitely.
And then Pello Buddy, I used to listen to it occasionally. They're pretty big. And then there's the Connected Fitness one that's kind of neat. John's podcast. So there's a few out there, if you're looking.
I listen to Pello Buddy more often than I do the clip out. And I used to listen to Connected Fitness, but I haven't listened to that one as much.
I hadn't. They've been postponing that a lot. I guess John's been real busy, and they've been postponing that one quite a bit. It used to be on Thursday nights all the time. And they do it on Clubhouse, which is kind of cool. This sort of kind of reminds me of Clubhouse a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, so Hannah Corbin announces a new book tour.
Yeah.
Did you stretch, though? Yeah. And November 2nd, she's coming to Ridgewood, New Jersey. I don't know how close that is to you. But
that's probably an hour north.
Okay, so and Jen Sherman's going to be at the location on the 2nd. And then the next day. And the next day, she's going to be in New York City also. So she's going to be all over. She's not coming to Nashville, though. At least I didn't see it on the
Too
list.
Bad. Because I thought Nashville was one of their big places. Like I've seen a couple of events there.
Well, she's done some stuff here in Nashville. So I would have thought she would have come to Nashville, too. But it was probably not on this one. World Mental Health Day was 10/10. You spoke about mental health earlier, and that's one thing with fitness. I mean, it really helps my mental health. I think that's really, I just enjoy it, but I know it helps me. In the past, I've had a couple of injuries, and plantar fasciitis has been the one thing I've always struggled with. And when I've been out with that and not been able to really exercise, I mean, it's been a tough go. So I love exercising, Yeah,
I blew my shoulder out 2 years ago, and it took 6 months to come back, or almost a year to come back, and that was tough for strength training. Because I could still do the bike, right? And it was hard to row too.
Oh, you mentioned before we went today that you used to play hockey a lot, and do you still follow hockey?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Who's your team?
New York Rangers.
Okay, the Rangers. Yeah.
So
we're hoping the Preds will be better this year. They kind of
the Rangers
had a great season last year.
Rangers was supposed to be really good last year, and it turned out didn't work out that way. And I'm hoping they're retooling, so I'm hoping we'll see a little bit better this year.
I'm a typical Southern guy. I don't I don't understand hockey. I like it, but I don't understand it. So I would drive you nuts watching a game with you. So.
Well, playing goalie, you get a different perspective on the game. You see the ebb and flow. You see how the game flows. You start predicting as a goalie. You need to predict what's going to happen where the next shot's going to come from. So you start to learn how to predict how the game is flowing and stuff like that. So that's why I'm more comfortable with the game, because I understand it decently.
Yeah.
And I understand how the game is progressing. So like when I'm seeing it, I'll know a team is going to start doing better because I can see it in the way that they're doing certain things on the ice. Like, you got people who, they're forechecking harder, or they're doing a better job in the neutral zone. So now it's going to translate. They're going to have more time in the offensive zone, more opportunities to score goals. So, but that's just from the experience of playing the game for so long. I played for like 18 years.
That's cool.
I remember I got to go see the very first Predator game in Nashville.
Oh, that must have been fun.
And I mean, hell, that was probably 28 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
26,
It's been that long?
It was
when they opened.
It was probably 27, 28 years ago.
Wow.
And so I was there at the very first game.
That's awesome.
And I've had some great seats. So I used to work for a company that had seats on the glass. And the game is so fast on the glass.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so, and then you watch it up high and you don't feel it as much. But those guys, they're such amazing athletes. Okay, so 3 new micro stores opening in Georgia, Florida, and Virginia. So that seems to be their thing. I think Nashville was their first micro store, and it's kind of cool. I mean, it
looks very similar to what they did in Dick's. They set up they have a tread and a bike set up next to each other. People could try them there, obviously the people in Dick's don't know the product really well. So I'm hoping they get back to that a little bit. I think that they hurt themselves by limiting their specialized knowledge of the product, because that's why I bought the bike, because I was able to talk to people and they were able to give me like real important, really good information about the bike.
Yeah, I'm not sure how good.
It's another bike, and
I'm not sure how good at information Dick's is at giving that up. But the kiosks, they should be stocked with pretty good employees. And hopefully. I mean, I get why they did it. They were in the most expensive mall in all of Nashville, and I mean, it had to have been expensive. I mean, you'd have to sell a lot of bikes, I would think, to justify.
I would think so too. For that, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. There was an outage last week that affected on-demand classes. It didn't affect me, but I read about it.
Yeah, the morning I took classes, I had no problems. Then I was, just looking at social media for a little while at one point, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, I can't start my class." And
that's got to be frustrating. But these days it's kind of, I guess, could you still watch YouTube and all that kind of stuff? Like, I don't even have time to watch. The YouTube on there is really nice, and I don't even have time to do that because I'm always taking a class.
I took a scenic ride for the first time last week, I think.
Yeah, those are fun.
That was the first one in like 2 years I took.
Now Peloton's expanded its personalized plans features with 2 brand new options. So before they had the build strength and support weight goals that you could go in, you could say this is what you're wanting, and then it would kind of give you a weekly schedule, and it'd give you a bunch of classes to pick that day. Well, they've added 2 new categories: promote longevity, which I talk about a lot because that's one of my big goals, and boost cardio fitness, which I also talk a lot about because it'd be kind of really neat to say, okay, I want to be a real runner, help me do that, or whatever sport that you're into. So they're not that specialized yet, but it's kind of neat. And then the promote longevity thing, there's a new Move for Life longevity program that just came out. So
that is the thing that most interests me that I want to dig into.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that, because you don't have to do the programs now, like you talked about earlier, on a certain schedule. So I'm gonna start doing some of those classes because I would just like to see that.
I would think the longevity program is probably going to benefit most from those programming changes, so that you can just extend it as long as you need to, and you take them when you want to fit them in. And I think that those classes are going to do a lot to help people realize you don't have to kill yourself every workout.
Yeah, and then today was the Chicago Marathon, by the way.
Right.
And did you know anybody running in it?
No. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of runner friends.
So anyway, I met this guy when I was in New York, Josh Vernon, and he's just the coolest guy. I want to get him on the show sometime. I need to ask him because he is an amazing guy. He's got an amazing story. He just started running basically just a few years ago, and he's part of the Boston group. He lives in the Boston area, but he has some job where I swear, Daniel, it's like he's on vacation all the time, and he's just out promoting sports brands and stuff like that. Well, his goal today at Chicago was to run a sub 3-hour marathon.
That's crazy.
I know. I mean, like from nothing at all, this guy's become a good runner, and his goal was like 15 minutes faster than his previous PR. So he's run marathons. Crazy. He's been running marathons because he does triathlons too. But he's just a huge Peloton supporter. I think he has a podcast also.
Okay.
But anyway, I just looked him up, and he finished in 3 hours and 4 minutes and 7 seconds.
That's insane.
So he was so close. And his half split was 1:29.48. So he slowed down just a little bit. So
can you explain half splits to me? Because I hear that term. I don't know what that means.
Well, it just means like at the halfway point. So
okay.
he was at like if you go run a race, and so a marathon's easy because at the half marathon split, you can tell where you are. So if you're really feeling good in a marathon or really any race, if you run negative splits,
what is a negative split?
You're just going to have the best day ever. Okay, so a negative split, like let's say you run a 5K, you go out and your first mile is like a 10-minute mile. So then your second mile is a 9-minute mile, and your third mile you finish up at like an 8:45 or something. That's negative splits where you just get faster as the race goes.
Okay.
So what a lot of people do in racing, and it's so common. I've done it myself a time or two, but more than a time or two. But you go out too fast, and then you just die. And in the marathon, there is no worse feeling than going out too fast because you got so many more miles that you're just going to struggle through it.
Right.
But if you go out easy and just ease your way into it. Now, Josh was trying to do, he had a goal of 3 hours. So, he was probably busting it the whole time.
He knew what he had to hit.
Yeah. But that's impressive. So if Josh, if you ever listen to this, congratulations. That's
is amazing.
Awesome.
That's amazing growth from his last.
That's like 10 minutes off his PR.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, my best was like 3:38, I believe.
That's amazing. That's pretty impressive.
Well, I mean, I wasn't like, I didn't love the long distances. I like the half and the mile and the stuff like that. I wanted to see if I could do a marathon. So my first one's the only one I did really good. One time I was sitting in my office, and this was like with the Nashville Marathon, and the guy across the office across from me, he was like, I was like, yeah, the marathon's tomorrow. He's like, yeah. He goes, you think you can go do it? I don't know. I hadn't trained at all. And he's like, I'll give you like $100 if you go run it. And I was young and stupid. And I was like, okay, I'll go do it. And I mean, but it took me like, 5 hours. It was miserable. I didn't. You
didn't train.
That was not a good experience. But I've done a few marathons, but I only ever tried in one. And I guess if I really liked it, I probably would have kept going. But I like the shorter stuff.
Yeah.
The
farthest I ever ran was a 5K. And when you say a shorter thing is a half marathon, I'm like, that's 13 miles. You're nuts. Right? That's miles,
right? Half marathon's 13. And
I'm thinking you're nuts.
Yeah, I know. 5Ks are perfect. Really, the 10K was my best distance. I love doing the 10K, but I wouldn't even be able to do a 10K these days. But pretty soon I'm going to be able to. All right, more evening classes they've added, so all the people on the West Coast should be happy about that. Injury prevention and rehab classes and collections are coming later this month, so that's
even better. Yeah,
I'm not now, but I was struggling with some shoulder problems earlier in the year, and they're all gone now. But those mobility classes and stuff, they really help. So having
anything injury prevention.
Yeah,
I'm all there for it.
It's all good. The extended warranty program has changed with all the new stuff. It's it's sort of like a tiered system now in that if you buy the warranty right when you buy your equipment, it's one price, and then if you wait and buy it a little bit later, it's another price. Used to, you had a whole year before you had to buy the extended.
Yeah, that's pretty generous that they gave you a year.
Yeah. And the extended warranty's pretty good. I used to, when Peloton was first around and there was a lot of demand and stuff, Anderson and I kind of made a little bit of money a time or two buying and selling stuff, but you really can't do that anymore. But we did have a bike once that had a problem, and so it's like $300 to fix it. And I'm like, I don't think I'm going to buy used anymore. But the prices are so low now. I wouldn't be scared to buy used. If I wanted to just get into a bike, now, I mean, there's no time.
Yeah, it's different, right? It used to be like $1,000 for a regular bike, and $1,500 for an OG bike used.
Yeah.
$300 for a bike.
I know.
My son and his wife, they bought a bike for like $300.
Yep.
So.
And then also, Daniel, I noticed on your on our site, you put out a 90 workout 30-day challenge. I thought that was kind of cool. So how's that going?
I guess I hurt my back a couple of days ago, so like 2 days I was either just doing meditation or it's back to normal. But I pinched a nerve, I think, and then I just needed to like rest it for a day or so. But yeah, so there's some people in our group that do like 7 workouts a day, right?
Oh,
there's some people who do like 1 and they're okay. And so I put that out there for those people that want to try a stretch a little bit. And by the way, 3 workouts a day is a warm up, your main work, and a cool down or stretch after.
It's definitely doable. It's definitely doable.
I wanted it to be doable, but just to give people a little incentive to do a little extra, like you say, just do a warm up and do a stretch after, and see how your body feels after doing that for a period of time. If you do that for a month, you may realize that those warm ups and those stretches are really going to help you.
Yep.
And that's kind of why I put that out there, just to encourage people to try doing that in a more regular, more consistent fashion, especially warm ups and stretches.
That's huge. So we got through this in an hour and 15 minutes, Daniel, and we didn't have any.
That flew.
So that's pretty impressive. Last time you were on the show, I quit the next day. So I use a program now called StreamYard, and I really like this. The program I used before, I had nothing but problems with. And this just works. So StreamYard.
I gotta admit, like you said, the last time, it just felt a little weird because your sound changed in my headset a little bit. It sounded like you were a little further away.
Yep.
But this has been crystal clear the entire time.
I know, and I don't even use headphones anymore. I just I still have a nice mic that I'm using, but and people can come watch. Like today, Tom Burrows came in and said hi, and Laura Buchanan said hi.
Nice.
I do leave, and this for future shows, I do leave the little I guess, what do you call it, URL up here where you can click on it and actually come into the room and ask a question or say hi or something.
I just see the comments now. I'm sorry I missed them.
Yeah. So I was just kind of replying a little bit, and so I think the show will probably get more interactive. I think we'll go that way. Most people I checked with, they kind of said, keep it the same time every week. So we're going to try that. And just, see if people want to, hop in, ask questions, say hi, that sort of thing. But it'll also still be on the podcast channels that they're always on. So plan on having that up on Mondays. And then, of course, anytime YouTube, it'll be on here. So the only real difference in how we used to do the show is I have to brush my hair now. I mean, that's about
mine's a mess because I just finished working out before.
No, you look good, man. You look good. I tell you, you're crushing it, Daniel. I mean, you are you're a real inspiration, man. Right. So just keep doing what you're doing, and I love all the advice you give. I love how you give it like friendly. You're not like all judgmental and stuff like that. It's just awesome. So thanks for joining me today. This has been fun. So everybody, you got anything else you want to put out there in the world, Daniel, before we sign off?
I think we covered everything. Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And wait, what is Anderson always doing his sign off? I don't even remember. So anyway, bye. See you next week. And
come to the board. Say hi, please.
Yeah, definitely. See you guys. Bye-bye.